Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the greatest player of all time, the world champion, the finisher in the red. We have Serral. Alongside his teammate from Team Liquid, it's Elazer. Facing off against him, the Terran in blue and the host of the entire tournament, it's uThermal. Alongside his teammate in teal, we have Shameless. In a best-of-5, 2 versus 2 showdown, where Serral has the unique opportunity to knock uThermal out of his own tournament and thank him for hosting the largest 2v2 tournament of all time. So if that's something you'd like to see, it'd be awesome if you could smash that like button. And maybe even subscribe to convince the algorithm you'd like something just a little bit different than the same thing you've seen for the last 15 years. And Jimmy, what do we have? 1,696 likes on this video and this cast, and I'll cast another one, and I'll probably do it anyways because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. As Team Zerg, we already know the dynamic. Elazer will be saying, "Get down, Mr. Champion," and do whatever he can to let Serral get to the late game, because no one beats Serral in the late game. This is a proven fact time and time again. The closer Serral gets to 200 supply with 75 drones in a hive, the closer you get to losing the game. But in 2 versus 2, it's infinitely harder to reliably get those 4 bases, to reliably survive with enough tech before you're already losing map control or the tech battle against Terran and Protoss, who, let's be honest, they have fancier tools. All right, Zerg has tenacity, and they have some very unforgiving mechanics that Serral exploits to the fullest, almost all of them revolving around the queens. And thankfully here, since it's a team full of Zerg, the creep is a boon instead of a detriment. But the first Reaper's jumping in, the first Adept is shading by, already demonstrating the main weakness of Zergs in the early game, which is an inability to maintain border security. And the queens, the Reaper sliding by, gonna spot the lair that's already halfway done from a laser, pinging it out immediately. Yes, it is worth noting. It is a remarkable timing, with uThermal's name being remarkable as well, which, perfect 5 out of 7 on that one. I will give him that. A lair this early, the Reaper will be hunted down and ripped apart by the Zerglings. That leaves a lot of options, from a Spire to a very quick hive or a Nidus network. Unfortunately, at least for some people, you can't share Nidus worms. That's one of those mechanics. You can trade resources, you can repair your teammates' units if you're Terran, you can heal them if you're Zerg, but you can't get in a Nidus worm with your friend. So, you'll have to go elsewhere for that. Maybe check out my Dronely fans on Patreon. Hellions trying to run by. Zerglings will get the wraparound though. The Queen's boxing out. And the Roach weren't actually creating a wall and making sure the damage is mitigated. Ping in the main. The Oracle having quite a revelation. The Spire's halfway done. And I have to believe at this stage, while I would love to see Mutas against a Protoss player in 2v2 who's already committed to a Stargate, I think this is Corruptors. Roach Corruptor is an old composition, but it checks out. Another Hellion run by. And wait, is uThermal take it? He's taking us to McDonald's. A big mech composition to start things off. Already a 3rd factory on the way. Blue Flame Hellions are the first choice, and the Phoenixes are spotted. So Roach Corruptor, with Serral going for the ground army and Elazer committing to the skies, could easily be the answer to this, well, so this is going to be a complete role reversal. And while I like a little bit of that myself, it's not always the best idea for Zerg to be giving up map control. But you don't have a choice here. The Phoenixes will be taking control of the skies, and Hell Clones are pretty much uncontested on the ground. There's already a fleet beacon on the way. It's halfway done. He's angling towards Phoenix range, maybe even a mothership, which can combine cloaking and other abilities with the Terrans. So Elazer is again in the role of getting bullied by every single unit that the Terran and Protoss can come up with, as well as doing whatever he can to box out for Serral. He's building Mass Corruptor. He's got +1 Carapace on the way. Meanwhile, Shameless is going for +1 attack. So the armor of the Corruptors with the base armor, any unit that has multiple attacks like the Phoenix is affected doubly by armor, making them even better against it. So that is why Elazer is prioritizing the armor upgrade over the attack here. Though maybe eventually he'll get there, and the Zerglings, Blue Flame Hellions, try to slip by. But the Queens, politely yet firmly, ask them to join the unit's loss tab. Just maneuvering them to minimize the damage. The battle for the skies, neither side. Rarely do we see... So, in this tournament, apparently, has extra restriction that you can't trade resources until about 7 minutes in the game, which we're not even at yet, because in the base game, in normal 2v2, you can trade resources at 4 minutes, and what happens is the very best players know that Mass Phoenix is almost unbeatable. That's very simply a science fact, apparently. Casual Microbial Shroud, totally not a misclick. Serral is not human. He doesn't make misclicks. Happy little accidents don't exist. It was an Intimidation Shroud. Okay, wearing a fancy cloak like a wizard or a helldiver. But the infestors underneath. We've got more tech behind it. More infestors for Serral. The corruptors continue production for Elazer. Serral's going for a 4th base. The first in the game to do so. But I think Shameless may try one momentarily. Just dancing back and forth. Both Cyclones and Phoenixes can attack while moving, make them almost infinitely microbial. And that's why the Fungals, to hold them in place, could make all the difference. Corruptors dancing back and forth. I think already sharing control. I saw Elazer selecting some of the ground units. I feel like Elazer may end up just controlling anything to deal with the air, whereas Serral anything on the ground. Though Elazer right now has exactly 3 Zerglings and 2 Queens on the ground, besides drones, obviously. Actually, drones kind of hover, but we'll leave the pedanticness to the comments. The hovering aspect, it hasn't mattered since the Brood War. The Cyclones up to the north side. They've finished that mag field accelerator. 50% more damage on the lock-on. Quite a sizable increase to an already incredibly high damage ability. Double air upgrades and +1 shields for Shameless. Triple upgrades right now for the Phoenixes. The Phoenix count is at 23. The Corruptor count at 22. Getting +2 air carapace. But picks up the Queens. Picks up the vast majority of the mineral line. And will knock it down. Slices it out of the sky with the Phoenixes. The Spore Crawler, a woeful undercommitment. Not that 2 or 3 spores would make much of a difference. The Corruptors, on the other hand, will drive them through the awkwardly tall trees on the top of the map, which I've always been amused by. The Hell Clones arcing out, but a couple good Fungals means the Roaches can close in. The Phoenix is trying to get involved, but the Corruptors also here. Knock down the Phoenixes, put down those Infestors. Knocks out another Ravager. Wow, they all die so fast. These fights can turn so obscenely quickly. Every unit here is very dangerous, with the awkward exception of Corruptors, which can only hit air. So, except for technically buildings, which there are none currently on this side of the map. So for now, relatively safe. The Caustic Spray ability does damage directly to buildings, and after about 4 seconds ramps up to doing like 4 times as much damage. So very good for sniping unprotected bases, but 4 seconds is quite a long time in this sort of fight. Oh, the Fungal catches a huge chunk of the Phoenixes. Pre-splitting. There's a Viper. Elazer, the one controlling it. Wombo, combo, parasitic bomb fighting so much. And another Fungal around the corner. Gonna catch some more of the Cyclones. Teams are doing a great job of driving back the critical mass of both Phoenixes and Cyclones in this almost mono-battle game. There's 23 Phoenixes and 11 clones. I can't tell if this is one of uThermal's challenges or if this is their actual composition right now. But Shameless with 4 Phoenixes and uThermal with just Cyclones on the way. A full mono-battle composition for both the Protoss and Terran. I mean, Elazer is mixing in a handful of Zerglings with his dozens of Corruptors. He's got a Congress of Corruptors overhead looking to wipe everything out of the sky, whether they like it or not. The Infestors are almost out of energy, trying to get up to the high ground. Burrows, but there's still not enough for any more Fungals. Parasitic Bomb quarantines one of the Phoenixes. Hydras and Lings trying to get up to the high ground. Cyclones microing back. Zerglings rip apart a couple more. But eventually, the Phoenixes will come around and slice the Hydras away. Corruptors take out one of the next side down the center. But overall, the drone and SCV count is still quite high. The Phoenixes aren't really a match for the Corruptors, though. A dedicated anti-air unit. There is no hive, there's no infestation pit for Elazer, so we can't just go to Broodlords. Going to be reliant on Serral to cover the ground, but he's going to be doing much more with Lurker range on the way, Neural Parasite in production, more Vipers being produced. Serral's taking the gold base, but for how long and at what cost? The Cyclone's sharking around, lock on with everything. Meanwhile, the Caustic Spray just melts through the base. The acid far too strong to counteract. The Zergling still quite... What are the upgrades? Just +1 armor. uThermal really focused on keeping the composition. More Parasitic Bomb, more Fungals. Shameless still has the base to the north. Some refugee probes hanging out as well. But Serral, nearly 200 supply. Elazer joining him there. uThermal. Oh, but look at the other way for a split second. Oh, doesn't even get a single Parabomb off. That's incredibly unfortunate. Losing the Viper so quickly. Meanwhile, though... No, actually, that's just a straight-up loss for the Zergs. A couple Cyclones in turn. But if all the Cyclones are able to lock on, the scans allow them to chase it across the field. The Cyclones knocking away the Corruptors as well. Knocks out another Infestor. And the Southern team rising back up both in supply and position. Able to take so much more of the map now. Knocks out another base. Serral optimistically expanding to the 6 o'clock. Shameless trying to put together the base down the gold. Elazer nearly maxed out. Actually just supply block. That's the only thing preventing him. 39 Corruptors versus 31 Phoenixes. +3 air armor is on the way. I think he already has +3 attack as well as +1 shields. Zergling counterattack to the north. uThermal with so many bases but no planetaries. This hatchery will be taken out. The Zergling sneaking around again. No real upgrades besides +1 carapace and speed. So not too dangerous. Few Cyclones. Just backs off the base after scratching the paint and taking down the shields. Cyclones. The fact the Terran Protoss army is so much more maneuverable is quite an interesting dynamic, but... Oh, hold fire lurkers! It's Serral! He had them on hold fire and just eviscerates the Cyclones. A huge amount of counter damage, though, coming out with the Phoenix's Parasitic Bomb. Needs a repair from uThermal's SCVs. A lot of the Phoenixes bruised here, but still nearing 200 supply. Shameless getting a couple more bases. The Zerg's near 200 as well, starting to bank up money. Elazer actually with more there. 51 Corruptors. He's got a majority of his supply of those Corruptors. And he's willing to wield it, whether the Terran and Protoss like it or not. They're the minorities in this game, and the Zergs will drive them out. The Corruptors just absolutely obliterating, annihilating the Phoenixes from the sky. They can't take trades. They're getting bullied out of the sky. The Corruptors have one job, and it's to eventually become Broodlords. But that seems like it's a long way off, so Mass Corruptor is the play. So far, 44 Phoenixes and 54 Cyclones lost. Almost 800 supply on the map. Almost 1,500 APM, maybe higher. Wow. The vanguard of Phoenixes slicing to the south. The Cyclones able to pick off multiple Infestors and a big chunk of the Roach Hydra. Where are the Lurkers? Where are the Vipers? When the Phoenixes gutted the base, where were the Vipers? When the Cyclones closed in and pin-cushioned the entire Roach Hydra army, where were the Vipers when the gold base was under attack? Where were the Vipers? Gathering energy, biding their time. But if they wait too much time, it will be too late. Half the Corruptors zoning out the Phoenixes. The other half melting through one of the Nexi. Wow, the other half of Corruptors leaves a few to melt through the base while still just stiff arming the Phoenixes. Trying to really use that Phoenix range, but it's about equal with the Corruptors. Losing plenty of them. Starting to add Tempest into the composition. Looking for some sort of late game. I'm surprised we did not see a mothership on the field. Yes, it would be a massive target, obviously, but the utility is quite high. And neither Terran nor Protoss scouted Serral going right down the center, takes down the rocks, and now puts Shameless in an incredibly hard place. The Corruptors eventually getting surrounded, the Phoenixes dancing through the sky. But holds on to some of the Cyclones. Serral getting plenty of damage done. Elazer knocked down to 150 supply. A difficult exchange for both sides. Hard to tell who got the better end of it. Shameless loses a base, but he took out most of the anti-air. The Phoenix is overhead, the Cyclones. I have no idea what's going on. Terrible, terrible damage on both sides. Lock-ons, Zerg, blood all over the field, and none of these units bleed from the southern team. That blood, a lot of bones in that trench. All of them Zerg. And this time it's entirely true, as the mechanical armies of both Protoss and Terran are able to pick up and knock down whatever Zerg stand in their way. A massive and decisive victory from both the Sky Toss and the Hell Clones. Well, it's not Hell Clones anymore. It's just clones in general. He hasn't made Hellions for quite a while. Anything getting any closer is having a tough time. There's one fungal left on the Infestor. Tries to throw it out, comes up completely empty. Lunges forward, though. Retakes the high ground. Corruptors, it's just Tempests, which Corruptors were designed to take these out. Just knock them out of the sky with ease, ignoring the turrets. Kind of a deep tissue massage for the Corruptors. They just like it, all right? Kind of weird like that. Phoenixes shying away from getting just bullied by the Corruptors yet again. The base. A chiropractor's office of spines. Quite a sportard back there as well. The cannons beautifully scattered. Optimistically taking a hatchery as well. Serral clearly moving south with his army. The Phoenixes. Shameless is down to 131 supply. He has the probes, but he's starting to run out of mineral patches. The main base is completely dried up. The natural's gone as well. We're 19 minutes in, and Team Zerg seems to be taking a solid economic lead, despite winning several battles. The southern team... what is happening here? Serral with a porcupine defense. Spines, Zerglings to eat the lock-ons. The spine crawlers as well. The lurkers actually hold. The Phoenixes will pick them up. The Cyclones will knock down the rest. But the combined effort here... Oh, the probes! The Trail of Tears. I don't think they could cry, but if they could... There's a lurker. This is a wholesale slaughter. One they don't sell at Costco. And... Wow. Shameless. Getting... cut to shreds, I say. The Phoenix is hunted down on the ends of the earth, which is right about there. The flat map theory is alive and well. The Tempest overhead, but without the Phoenixes to help buffer the Corruptors. Elazer doing a great job of being the front man yet again. The tank. Eating so much damage, but coming out ahead either way. As long as Serral is able to maintain his composition and his economy, it's a success. The fact that Elazer has also had an incredible economy this game is just icing on that particular cake. And now finally siege tanks, but far too little, and probably too late, as the Corruptors are just wiping the Tempest off the map. The Hydras grabbing a couple of the Cyclones with the Infestors. Elazer Zerglings underneath. I think being controlled by Serral in this Zerg Archon mode. It's just so much. Shameless Where was the storm? That's what was missing. Now when I think about it, I look at it, a shameless commitment to pure sky toss. And neither uThermal nor Shameless had any ability to deal with the 200 supply of Zerg, at least not in any sort of cost-effective fashion. They were relying on this unit composition that keeps the Zerg at bay. But as soon as the bay flooded with this amount of supply, there was no putting the genie back in that bottle. The caustic spray, the corruptors having their way with things. And in typical team game fashion, I think they're going to draw it out. But any hope of victory evaporated many minutes, well, several minutes ago. There were a couple great fights, but I think as soon as Serral got to 200 supply of lurkers, the chances of winning against that drastic go down. The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for Team uThermal here. Gonna have to go back to the drawing board for game 2, and the drawing board will just say storm! Storm! Or it'll just be the Battle.net forums, which are complaining yet again about storm! Part of every imbalanced breakfast. The probes pulled into the fight. A couple infestors wandering into siege tank uThermal with a very, I mean, a hard-fought battle. What am I watching? Huh. But Serral and Elazer reliably taking the map. They've grabbed over half of it now. The SC... Big job, huh? Yes, Billy. Well, they're still in the game. The Cyclones are going to dance back and forth a little while longer. The Corruptors still in the corner. The probes. Shameless fighting with everything he has. Unfortunately, everything he has is 30 probes, which do manage to get some kills, amusingly enough. But not nearly enough. He yoinks in some. There's half a dozen Vipers now. Not even a hope of ghosts to deal with them. Or feedback. No Templar, no ghosts. And plenty of problems here. Game 1. We'll go to Serral. And yes, thank you. A decisive victory. The tide of Zerg rolling in. Almost a mono battle. Everyone but Serral playing mono battle for like 15 minutes. And there are situations where that can work. But at some point, when you have an actual macro game, the spellcasters are required. Just a few storms easily could have turned the tide. I mean, that seems historically accurate as well, but game 1 to Elazer and Serral. Elazer. Elero. Yeah. I like Elazer. That was pretty good. In fact, their names have a lot of similar letters. Is that a juice box? Spray? We even have sprays and skins because we're not using our sanitized 1v1 mod that takes away all the fun. I mean, so the reason you don't usually see skins is a while ago, because of competitive concerns, the basic kind of tournament setup does not show the skins of the players, because there were some complaints at some point in the past that certain skins made the visibility of certain units kind of difficult to see, which is a fair complaint, but also a massive missed opportunity in my opinion. Every time I sometimes, like, in smaller scale tournaments where they don't have an admin telling them they're on the wrong mod or whatever, the players will just play a normal ladder map and send in the replay. And then you'll get to see what skins they're using, have some variety in life in a game that, you know, doesn't have that much variety all the time. Which is another reason I want to thank uThermal for the initiative of both putting 2v2 in the spotlight and showing how it can be such an incredibly interesting mode. I mean, partially because of one of the players in this game, 1v1 kind of feels figured out, Serral. And while watching the very best of the best is great and impressive, I think there's so much more. There's so much more. So make sure to check out uThermal. I mean, it's probably right over there, recommended, or whenever it ends here. But his perspective, I assume he uploaded these games as well, no matter which way it goes. But, all right. uThermal going for, is this 3 racks Reaper? A double cheat. Well, 3 racks Reaper out of uThermal. And a 1 gate expand from Shameless. So not a full commitment to the double cheese, but I think uThermal fully trying to frontline for the Protoss. And technically, 3 racks Reaper, like, if neither Serral nor Elazer commits to enough units, the Reapers can just bully them. Hey. Brenda, why does it feel like every game, no matter what, we're just getting harassed over and over and over? Our workers are always getting harassed. Left, right, set by Terrans, by Protoss. It doesn't matter what's happening. Yeah, get off my creep. Okay, yeah, but why is that? Susan, it's a Blizzard game. That's a feature, not a bug. That is messed up, Brenda. Yeah. Yikes. Sorry, I'm just here so I don't get fined. The Reapers are dealt with. The Adepts are an optimistic timing from uThermal with the Reapers. And ends up being shut down with these. It's gonna be the Phoenixes behind. Oracle, the fancy purple Oracle. We all know purple is a fancier color than green. That is a science fact. Like and subscribe if you agree. And move along if you don't, because you're wrong. It's a weird stance. It's definitely fancier. Everybody knows. Maybe I'm just playing too many ARPGs. But I digress. Riftbreaker is not an ARPG. It's a strategy game. But it has enough ARPGs. Anyways. A gang of Reapers working on the center base. Enough grenades to really threaten anything in the general area. Just because the first Reaper's gotten taken out, he double, tripled down. uThermal with 9 Reapers on the field, and behind it, it's going to be Stim Marines and working towards medevacs. Serral and Elazer, 45 drones apiece. Not a booming economy, especially since they're struggling to take a 3rd base so far. Phoenixes might be able to pick off one of the queens, though. Oh, don't be so... Oh, no. Overlord taken down. Phoenixes still finding damage. And the Reapers zoning out many of the Zerglings. uThermal's going to need an army that deals with the Roach Hydra eventually. But so far, Serral's queens coming up to clean up the messes of Elazer's base. But it does take the combined efforts of both players in order to deal with the sheer amount of Phoenixes already on the field. Pretty sure they can win the fight against the queens, but we will see. uThermal. Still building up back at home. Got plenty of Marines, medevacs on the way. Double NG Bay as well. Reaper's picking off even more. If the Phoenix count is high enough, the Hydras won't be enough. What is the... There's 11 Phoenixes, 14 Hydras. Serral has some Ravagers, but it looks like they're going completely all in. Serral and Elazer at 44 workers apiece. The mass Phoenix. A whole bunch of cannons on the way. They see it coming. The scan will spot... That's not enough Hydras. He's going to cut off the reinforcements. Elazer trying to use the creep. We will see. The Reaper's going to sandbag this. Any amount of damage is a huge deal. But he can just pick up. Unless he doesn't. Trying to cover. Well, the Marines are stimming. Oh, wow. The Hydras are just gone. Everything is just gone. The anti-air is... It's not even remotely close. It's not even the same zip code as enough. Well, the clear and overarching weakness of Zerg, the lack of anti-air, at least offensive anti-air capability, clearly demonstrated. Now, the Phoenixes are almost entirely out of energy, and the Marines don't have combat shield, but even just 2 cannons, he can energy recharge, more Phoenixes popping out, and the economy behind this, more Roaches and more Hydras trickling across the map, but right into the meat grinder. It was an... Well, this did not work at all. You can see what the idea was, but even though it was kind of a mediocre start with uThermal's Reapers getting almost no damage done, eventually the attempted all-in put Team uThermal and Shameless on the board and allow them to equalize the series. So, the Reapers just keeping them busy until the Phoenix count could build up. Clearly a bit... Well, Serral did not get to the late game. And the results are very clear. Feels like a half-hearted attempt there in order to get the damage done. Now, in 1v1, that many Hydras would be fine. And that's why, like, if you go Mass Phoenix in 1v1, then you just die to a Hydra timing. But in this case, you have a teammate to throw their Marines in front of the cannons, to work on the front line, and it makes all the difference. 1-1. We're going to Yellow Jacket. That map also had a ramp leading to the natural of the second bases, which is another very defensive quality that makes it a lot harder for the Zerg to attack. Might have been why they were trying to end it early. We'll see if Elazer and Serral have anything to counteract that level of early aggression. But a little bit painful to watch the Hydras get picked up and put down so quickly, but kind of inevitable once they got scouted. If it ain't broke, you don't need to repair it. Once again, going for the multi-Reaper. Are we going to see the 3 racks or something a bit more economical? uThermal with the 3rd barracks on the way. Deja vu. We've just been with this build before. Now, yeah, the simple version is between an Oracle existing for Shameless and the Reapers for uThermal, there's no real opportunity to counterattack early, and clearly no opportunity to counterattack in the early mid-game either. Team Zerg attempted the Hydraless timing, but we'll see what they come up with this time around. They found their build and they're sticking to it. Serral's gonna scout. See all 3 racks, which is about as many as you can support while still trying to do anything else. Technically, you can support 5, but you don't really have anybody to ever expand or do anything else but build Reapers for the foreseeable future, so 3 racks is already a big commitment, but you do have a little bit more income for eventually expanding. And Queen. Bounce back. The Zerglings. The Zergling speed is a long way off. Serral not even getting Ling speed. He has enough for it. We'll see if he commits. I think saving maybe for a lair. Queen's angrily driving it back, throwing out their knitting needles. 10 drones apiece for either side. Just looking to absorb the damage and come out ahead. Oh no! Elazer's Queen sniped off. Drones cut off by the adepts. Or by single adept in the center. Eventually taken out. The Reapers holding the wall. Couldn't you just build a depot? Maybe they don't want to share control. But technically, uThermal could create a wall for the Protoss. I wonder if they've thought of that. uThermal has played so much 2v2, he had to have thought of that at some point. Usually you want to share control with your Protoss teammate, though, so they can control the door. But would you trust a Protoss with a door after however many thousands of years without it? You think they could use it now? Oracle lights up. The drone hiding in the extractor. The drama continues. Serral rushed to a lair behind it, is going straight for roach speed. The mass Phoenix production is on the way. Reaper's heading out yet again. Still a lot of Reapers. A dozen Reapers! And an Oracle overhead, making this a complicated army to deal with. Stasis. The Reapers might be able to deny the base. Serral very much not interested in that. He's gonna have to give it up either way. A Spire for a laser. I think he's heading towards the one Reaper took the wrong turn there. Phoenix is looking for an opportunity. Serral re-expands. Stasis wards as well. A very difficult combination of units to deal with, but this time around the Zerg's clearly more macro-oriented. Serral gets the cancel yet again. Unfortunately for Team Zerg, Serral spawned on the outside base, the one closer to the opponents. It's just random chance, but you can tell he's feeling it. The Queen knocked down out of the main regicide, being committed. The Stasis! Ooh, catches a huge chunk of the Lings, but roach speed is done. Not that it matters with the Zerglings forming something of a concave. He can pick up and knock down some of the roaches. We'll hold off for now. Another base on the way. Team Thermless. Working title. Team Thermless working with, mostly focusing on knocking out the third bases as opposed to actually fighting the army. They don't have to. Those Reapers do so much damage. He's still building. 4 Reapers, 10, 20 Reapers! Absolutely obscene amount of Reapers. That is... Wow. Alright, bouncing around. Everybody dance now. Pop, 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 pop. The roach is unable to attack while dancing in the air. Clearly a design flaw. But Reaper Phoenix is the infuriating composition. Manages to hit like 8-10 roaches with a single grenade. Only 5 damage apiece, but it adds up. Slowly but surely. Phoenix is all, but the Corruptors have had enough. We'll shove them away. uThermal's, he spotted the burrow. Serral trying to be clever and trap the Reapers. But now gonna regen the roaches. A relatively cheap upgrade to counteract the amount of chip damage that the Reapers were doing. And Elazer is chasing things down. How many Marines? There's only 8 Marines on the field, so kind of an awkward scenario now. Stim isn't even done. The Corruptors have a good chance of being able to take out a base on their own. As we get into this kind of awkward mid-game scenario. Hey! Get it. Okay, I'm walking here. I don't... Once again, the Sky Wars. Sky Zerg versus Sky Toss. Insane fungal, but recall to counteract it. What a great reaction out of Shameless, though. That was the best case scenario there. Mitigates the fungal with the recall. Ends up losing maybe 1 or 2 more Phoenixes. Could have been so much worse. The Reaper, they won't stop. The gang of Reapers continues harassing the outlying bases. Elazer will lose another hatchery. Some burrow move roaches spotted, scanned, and a bunker is put up, gonna wall them off. Somehow the depot actually stops burrowed roaches from going underneath. I guess that there's like an underground portion where they have the... Any building does, technically. Just gotta have that foundation. And burrowed roaches are actually very close to the surface. Okay? They can't burrow very deeply because their claws are actually very stubby. And it would be difficult to... Anyways, lore. Like and subscribe for more BS and BS. Corruptors, caustic spray, and plenty of prey. Once the spray charges up, the damage is obscene. It does take that 4 or 5 seconds. I don't think I've seen as many caustic sprays in the last year taking out bases as I have in this series already. But Serral, he has a hive done. He has a lurker done on the way. Team Thermless approaching a zone of danger as Serral gets closer and closer to that late game economy. Some of the roaches taken out. The Reapers are still zoning things out. uThermal. 173 supply. Shameless, though, struggling. No ground army on the way. Still just mass Phoenixes. I don't think there are enough Marines to counteract this. Phoenix is trying to help out. But the Roach, Ravager, Infester, alongside the Corruptors. What are the upgrades? +2 ranged attack, +1 Carapace. Meanwhile, the Reapers came in and killed off a bunch of drones. Serral actually down to 63. He's lost 18 drones in this game so far. The Infestors around the corner. The Siege Tank's doing a lot of damage. Well, just one. Only one sieged. The Corruptor's boxing out. And Serral easily able to clean up the field. Shameless desperately needs Storm yesterday. And has nothing. A Twilight count. uThermal may have just convinced him, finally, that Storm is required. But the caustic spray. It feels like a fine, I'll go Storm sort of situation. Communications breakdown. The Reapers finally getting caught by some of the roaches. Many of them will still escape, but they bought so much time. 5 kills, 4 kills. The Reapers have killed many of Serral's drones, but he bounced back easily with Elazer commanding so much of the field with the Corruptors. Was that a recall? No. That was actually just... Oh, does he have one? Because he needs it with a chain fungal! Oh, wow. Terrible, terrible damage to the Phoenixes. Some of the roaches chipping through. More Phoenixes in production. Corrosive Bile holding. Templar Archives is on the way. Unfortunately, it's in the most exposed position on the base. uThermal at 131 supply. Shameless at 114. The Zergs at near 200 apiece. 43 Corruptors. This game's starting to look more one-sided than a Mobius strip right now. The mass Reapers were good. The mass Phoenixes were dangerous. But the Zergs have everything. Elazer with nothing in production because his army's perfect as it is. 52 Corruptors and 0 fucks right now for Elazer, as he just melts absolutely everything with the caustic spray. Serral gonna deal with the Marauders. Feel like I was about to say trading him out for Marines, but he does not have the economy to do so. Storm, for the first time in this series, is in production. But will it be too little and too late? A Templar's warping in, giving away the scenario. But Serral has lurkers. Might be angling to close in on the base. Some Archons as well. Does not have Zergling speed. Keeps them covered up. The Templar in a very awkward position. Where is uThermal? He has some bio. He picks up. He's gonna go for the base trade. A desperation move, to say the least. Archons merging before the storm can even complete. The desperation drop. uThermal giving it all he's got. A dropout. I'm not talking about the amazing network, but instead, the supplies are plummeting. Serral still with plenty. Elazer banking money. You could send a stimulus package to Serral if needed. Storm's done, but I think we've crossed the Rubicon here. There's no going back. I mean, the Corruptors can't actually kill the Marines in this very awkward fashion. uThermal still has 3 bases. Shameless is down to 100 supply, though. The Zergs have survived. It was macro the whole time. They tried the counter all in against the Phoenixes. It did not work out. The Storms kill more probes than Corruptors. 50 Corruptors. Just gonna melt the entire base. Oh, wow. Camping the starport. The Corruptors finding a surprising amount of use with Serral actually providing a ground army. Hydra's dealing with it. Ooh. The Ravagers wading through the storm. He needed it so much earlier. There was a timing, there was a window. But the tunnel vision on the Phoenix is clearly costing Team Thermless. Small bio army at the back, but Elazer could fund. I wonder if Serral... Is Serral too proud to ask for money? Someone with more prize winnings than most of the rest of professional SC2 combined. Elazer was 6,500 at the bank. Elazer got to be in the pocket position this time too. The Templar, a siege tank. GG. Match point for Team Zerg. Elazer just powering through. God, those Reapers were annoying, but not nearly enough. Desperately needing Storm and just not having it. Well, we'll see if their research is a little bit better. On Crimson, research left. Jimmy! Sorry. Game number 4. Clearly adapted. A Elazer frontlining for Serral. and doing a great job of it yet again. Though that game, honestly, it was all Elazer. Serral was also there. He made some big plays on the ground, but Elazer just shoving everything out of the way with the Corruptors. I've never seen Corruptors get so much done. Just dominating the game on their own. Sorry, I am. Jimmy. Sorry. The Overlords going their separate ways. Did they? And now, in the real... Now, this is a crazy tactic. I don't know if this is intentional. I wouldn't put it past uThermal. But in a mind-bending yet incredibly subtle play, uThermal is now the teal player and Shameless is blue. What are the implications of this? I'm not even convinced. So some players will play with team colors. Some players play with individual colors. Sometimes in 2v2, it can become very difficult to tell opponent from teammate because it's kind of randomized colors. In that case, you want to use individual. But I think the Zerg team can just use team colors. And you could figure out who the Terran and Protoss are based on the way they are, right? Like, come on. I'd be interested to see. We can't really tell from the observer perspective which they're using. It just uses whatever I have selected, so... Get off my creep! Brenda, you okay over there? Susan, go back to your hatchery. Don't worry about me. Well, it's our problem. Like, he was over here, then he moved to your hatchery? Don't, shut up! Why are you angry? We're winning. Yeah. I'm working on it. That's good. Shut up! Sorry. Sorry. I blacked out for a couple of depths on the way. Not sure what the... Oh! Wait. Who was pinging there? Also, what's going on? Is this an SCV just kind of freestyling? What in the hell? Whoa. What is happening here? DJ Roomba over here. Just going at it. Meanwhile, Oracle. Blue Flame on the way. This time around the Twilight Council. It feels like Shameless is very pointedly shifting into a ground-based army. After going Stargate and even getting a Twilight here. I mean, even getting a Phoenix. I think he's trying to sell the mass Stargate play, but it's a fake. It's going to be Blink behind. Team Thermless going for a sneaky ground-based timing. But an Overseer's coming in. Both Zergs with Overseers to spot for everything. The Hellions running by, but the Citizens arrested the Queens to drive them back. The combination effort, but they figure. Wait, they saw, right?
Swarm forces under attack.
Yeah, they're gonna see it. Twilight Council's on the way. Spore Crawler. Yeah. Weird day today. Like and subscribe so I can get some help. Interpret that however you want. Mutas! Elazer correctly recognizing this is not going to be Mass Phoenix and will actually break out the Mutalisks. What a play. Now, behind it, the evolution chambers are spotted, but that doesn't say much. He's going to be banking the Mutilus until the last possible moment, it looks like. Double-digit Mutas swinging in when neither player is prepared. I mean, it should be semi-obvious. Trying to intentionally dodge any air units out there. Elazer swinging around to the right side, where the unit's on the left. And a Zergling out in front to spot for anything that might see this before it hits. Oh no. A complete blindside by a murder of Mutas. A beautiful choice. Adapting the Spire into its most, well, its more regular form. I'm gonna have the Mutas to just slice through the probes. Already so much damage dealt. Recalling back. What is he even recalling? A Phoenix? The Stalkers? The damage is already done, though. Serral's at... Here's the damage. Not the probes. Not the Mutas. Serral's at 70 drops. That's the damage. Anything... And the Mutas are actually just fighting. Just trading and whittling things down. The fact that Serral is already at 4 bases and building infestors is disastrous for anyone on the other side of the map. I don't care what game mode we're playing, what tournament it is. Marine's taken down as well. I can't help but feel that Team Elazer is already streets ahead. This is disastrous for Thermalist. Shameless is down to 100 supply. He's got 63 probes. uThermal's right there with him, going bio. Serral's at 162 with a hive on the way. Oh no. The Roach, Ravager, Infestor. Now Storm is very, very good. Shameless will attempt to learn. The Phoenixes, well, no Phoenixes, sorry. 1 Phoenix. The Mutas swinging around uThermal. The turret gonna be targeted. They have +1 flyer, but a good reaction on the SCVs, and the Marines in position will zone out the Mutas for now. Lurker down in Hive on the way for Serral. Shameless able to storm away the Zerg for now. But gold bases already coming up. I thought there was a gold base over here. But Elazer with 2 more bases on the way. The rocks will be torn asunder. Roach Ravager breaking through. The Mutas still finding an opportunity. Charge lots. The Roach Ravager on top of everything. Scatters the corrosive bile. Knocks it down. Fungals out the front. The Mutas overhead. Oh wow. Mutas stacking up at the worst possible time. The overwhelming power of the Archon gets a huge amount of splash damage. Mutas can shrug it off for now. But, well, the Lurkers are on the way. Serral, 77 drones, Lurker range in production. Eight more Lurkers. That's a GG of Lurkers right there. Neither Shameless nor uThermal anywhere close to 200 supply. A lot of Stalkers and Storm. The scan will spot the army coming. But the Mutas mean that they still have to keep their army committed to the other side. The Marines gonna try to zone out for the siege tanks. Elazer once again taken to the skies with the mass mutant composition. I love it. But the Mutas sniping off the tanks, able to combine forces so quickly. Shameless, gonna try to break. No, 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 no! Oh no, it's an absolute disaster. He tries to help his teammate, but the spines of the Lurkers eviscerating the army. Oh. uThermal is brought under 100 supply. Shameless kept most of his army intact, but a lot of the zealots were sliced by the lurkers. Loses a nexus. It's a disaster. Ooh, the roaches and ravagers. Trying, but mostly dying. I mean, well, the zealots rather against them. Shameless still has a huge army, but stalkers are not the answer. The fungal's holding him down. The Templar wandering forward. The lurker slicing right through. Elazer, Serral and Elazer powering through. One ill-fated all-in, the only blip on the radar. Otherwise, the Zerg overwhelming and just essentially choking the Terran and Protoss out of the game. A decisive victory for the two Zerg players, and uThermal can go back where every wannabe pro player and washed up the casting booth is what I'm getting to. In esteemed company, but hopefully you enjoyed as much as I did. And make sure to check out uThermal and support the initiative. This series, a little more one-sided, but still demonstrating the power, even of having two players of the same race on the same team, how different the strategies can be when combined against your opponents. Elazer essentially mono-battling for most of the series, and it working out just fine. So, thank you for watching. And if you got the means of motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership, but I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. And thank you to our Mule Tier patrons bringing in the extra minerals. Big Jakey Davendor, Kate, Mario, Suit. Glad you still enjoy. And to everyone, I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Thank you for watching. Hope I made your day a little bit better. Stay chill.